If you were to drive through southern Utah, you would pass this little cabin without realizing what it is. It sits quietly out on the prairie. Small, simple, easy to overlook. But a kid grew up here who would eventually become one of the most famous outlaws in the American West. And when you actually stop and look at the place, it raises a pretty fair question. How does a legend start in a cabin this small? Let's check it out. Two rooms, one main space for cooking, eating, and living, and another for sleeping. Oh, and had I mentioned this was a family of 15? This is probably where mom and dad hung out to get a little busy. The kid's name was Robert Leroy Parker. Most people know him by the name Butch Cassidy. Yet, somehow, a whole family made this place work. Standing here, you notice small details. Not a lot of wasted space, not a lot of privacy either. If someone snored in this cabin, everybody knew about it. The place feels quiet now, but you can imagine it being pretty lively back then. Kids moving around, meals cooking. Somebody probably getting told to shut the door because you're letting the whole Utah winter inside. Stepping outside, and the whole view opens up. The town of Circleville nearby sits out in a wide valley with mountains surrounding it. Plenty of land, which probably felt like a really big backyard for the kids growing up here. A few steps from the cabin, there's another building that tells part of the story. The stable. Not exactly a luxury horse hotel, but it got the job done. Inside was simple. Stalls, beams, and a kind of place that probably smelled exactly like you would think it would. Horses and livestock would spend their nights here, especially during the colder months. And if you're a kid growing up here, this might have been one of the more interesting places on the property, especially if you were the type who liked to wander a little bit. Like perhaps a outlaw? Born in 1866 and raised near Circleville, he later became the leader of a group of outlaws known as the Wild Bunch. They pulled off a number of bank and train robberies across the West in the late 1800s. And Cassidy actually had a reputation for trying to keep things calm and polite during the job. A gentleman's outlaw. Today, the cabin in the stable sits quietly out here, just outside of Circleville. Small, weathered, easy to miss if you don't know the story. But places like this remind you that history doesn't always start with grand buildings. Sometimes it starts in a tiny cabin out on the prairie, where a kid grows up and the rest of the story hasn't happened yet. And out here, that's exactly what happened. So until next time, see ya.